Guys, thank y'all for joining today. So here today we have Rebecca and Mr. William,
That's us.
and you guys tell us what you own.
We have Indian Village Harvest Farm in the Indian Village community of Calhoun, Louisiana.
So Indian Village is a community?
It is a
I
community.
did not know that.
And
So
it's
I
a
learned something
historic
today.
landmark, too. Yeah,
Wow.
that's right. Indians lived there a long, long time ago.
Okay. Fantastic. I learned something new. I didn't know that Indian Village actually is a Indian village.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Was.
Years ago.
Fantastic. Years ago.
Yeah.
Guys, so look, let me tell you why I wanted you guys to come in. You guys have served my family for many years. We were talking before we started recording that it is hard in this day and age to find good, wholesome, all inclusive fun that any age in the family can actually enjoy.
Right.
You guys have, I don't know if there's many places, at least in our area, that are set up like you guys are, but give us an overview for the people that are listening that may have never been out to Indian Village before. Give us an overview of what your farm is.
You want to go?
Okay.
You want me to do it?
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
sure. We are, first and foremost, we are a farm. We are a full operation farm. We grow a number of fruits and vegetables, beginning with strawberries in the spring, getting into peaches, which is our biggest biggest crop. We grow squash, zucchini, cucumbers, just a whole line of fruits and vegetables like that, and then pumpkins in the fall, and we have some other things we're going to get into in the future, I believe. But we have a farmers market there on the farm, and with it we have a playground and a petting zoo for the kids. And it's
So how much does it cost for the playground and petting zoo?
it's absolutely free.
Wow.
That could change one day, but we're trying our best to keep it as absolutely free as possible. Just because we both grew up very poor, and there were too many times mom and dad both said we can't go do something because it costs too much money. We don't want to turn a kid away. We want everybody to enjoy our place, and we absolutely mean that from the bottom of our heart. That we want to keep everything as affordable or free as possible out there for as long as we can.
Yeah, and we're so thankful because, like I mentioned, our family has taken part in the activities that y'all for many years. And when we were looking for people that we needed to have as guests on this podcast, I mean, you guys' name were right there at the top, and we were kind of waiting till we got a little closer to fall, which we're at right now, to where it's going to be a busy time for you guys because not only do you have this play area and petting zoo for the general public, but you guys also do school field trips.
Right.
And the thing that I like about it, it's not like we're dropping kids off to go play. Y'all bring an educational aspect to that, which I think is it's wonderful, number one. But most of these kids that come will probably be the only experience that they ever get to actually be on a farm. They may look at some of this stuff in textbooks and talk about, planning and, the different phases.
They don't
But
know
to
anything
actually
about
to
it.
be on a farm and talk to a farmer or farmers and get some education, I think it's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about what happens on the
field
tour
trip.
that you do with the field trip with the schools.
So that's what you're saying is kind of where the educational aspect of the hay rides come around. We call them Mr. Will's Educational Hayride. And at first, it was a way to we just give them a hay ride around the farm. It was a way to break the playground up a little bit because at the time the playground was really small and there was always a lot of people out there. And we noticed the kids getting bored riding all the way around the farm. It's eighth of a mile, eighth of a mile, eighth of a mile, so it takes a long time to get around the farm. And so we started adding things to it, like we put some animals up there for them to feed the animals. And we noticed right off the bat that most of the kids had never seen a horse or a cow in real life. They see them on TV. And it's stuff we take for granted. We see them every day. We get irritated with them. We constantly feed them and stuff like that. But they were just wild. And then we noticed they did not have a clue about planting plants or seeds or anything like that. So we added a little garden area, and we take the kids up there now. We give them a handful of seeds, We show them how to plant them. We run through just the quick basics
Sure.
of germination and photosynthesis and what the stuff looks like, and then that's actually what's on your plate for supper at nighttime.
Mm.
And they're amazed for the most part. And when I say for the most part, 8 out of 10 kids on those hay rides have never experienced that before.
Right.
And the biggest kicker for me is that months later or a year later, the parents come back to visit us again, and they say, "Hey, I had to go home and build a garden for my son because he learned that out here and he wanted a garden." And that's great. 'Cause
Absolutely.
nobody knows where the food comes from nowadays, and this is teaching them. And they'll grow up with that. They'll
Right.
probably get into 4-H and things like that. They'll grow up and they'll have a garden in their backyard, or possibly even get into the farming industry or something. But they don't know that knowledge at first. Not all of them, but a good part of them don't have that knowledge, and they do after they leave the farm. And that just tickles us.
Yeah, no, and I think it's great. We had asked you guys to send us a little information so we get a little background on you. And one of the things I thought was really interesting, and it's a passion of mine, and that is going to be, our education system as a whole. For way too long, we have tried to force our kids down a path of college. That you've got to go to college, no matter what you do, college, college, college. And what we have found, or what I've seen, this Brian's personal experience, that we have a lot of kids that college was never meant to be their path, whether it's male or female, to where we've got student debt that's out of control for people who never even finished and got a degree because either they were not prepared or it's not the path that they should have went down to begin with. But to hear you talk about or that you guys mentioned that FSA, is that what it is?
FFA.
FFA.
Yes.
I did not know that West Ouachita has that program,
Oh,
and it made me smile. I know they had I guess that would be the Ag Center they have
The
off
Ag
across
Center,
road.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I guess I do know that they have it. I just
And
didn't know it was called
within
that.
the FFA, it's a lot of different categories of stuff. They
But
do,
knowing
welding,
that
carpentry, and-
we still have that, and that it sounds like that is now starting to receive more funding than what it once had, I think is fantastic.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
and it sounds like that means something to you guys as well.
It does.
Oh, it
Close
does.
to
It really
home.
does. We're out at the FFA building once a month or so, and we sell their flowers at the farm, and that's one of the things they grow to sell to raise money to go to their pig shows and stuff like that they do out there, and it's amazing with them kids. You see the kids out in public, and you don't realize that they're going to school, they're welding steel together, they're planting plants, they're showing pigs, they're doing all these different things out there. And like you, I didn't realize that was still something. When I was a kid, they had all that stuff, but I didn't realize that was something still in school. And it is in school, and it is very strong. And most of the kids that work for us are out of the FFA out there. So,
And I, the other thing that I think is great about it is the education that they're getting. I'm not saying the reading, the math, and all that other stuff doesn't matter. It all matters. But knowing that a kid has the opportunity to graduate with a tangible skill that they can start earning as soon as they get out of high school, I think that's important.
it is
And
very
especially earning in something that they're passionate about.
That's right.
Success, I think, should be different. Well, I know it's different for everyone. We tend as a society to say success is we got to make this much money or have this many things that are out there. But the older I get, I start realizing that none of that stuff really matters.
Right.
That's right.
I mean, we think it does. Social media has definitely handicapped a lot of us because we get to see all these highlights here and there. But when it all boils down to is being able to have the education in the field that you're passionate about and to know that you can take that and start earning and providing for your family. So something else I thought was really interesting about you guys, and it's just it kind of goes against that sense of community you guys are strong for, that even though you are a farmer, you have a farmer's market, you let other people bring things into your farmer's market to be able to sell for them, to
Definitely.
be able to enhance their quality of life, to be able to for them to earn a living.
It works out on both sides for that because we wasn't even building a farmer's market out there. We were building a shed to clean our produce to sell at our roadside stands, and it kind of accidentally turned into a farmer's market. And then it turned into a very popular farmers market. We wasn't expecting it. People, even the neighbors, were like, people ain't gonna drive out there to
It's a
y'all.
nice place, though.
And it is, and we're very proud of it. But we noticed early on was like, we can't grow enough stuff to fill this market up. What are we going to do? And then at the same time, folks were coming around. Remember the elderly couple? They show up in the morning time with a bucket of peas or a bucket of tomatoes, and they're like, "Will y'all put these out and sell them for us?" It's like, sure. And we do take a little cut off of it.
Sure.
But there's some days we look out we live in a little cabin on the farm, and some days we look down there at 7 in the morning. There's 4 or 5 cars sitting down there, and it's people that live around us that grow in their backyards, and they know they can come to us and get rid of it there.
I left this here. They'll shoot a text to us and let us know or call us. And
so wait a minute. So what I'm hearing you say is that the small town life is there if you're willing to embrace it.
Yes.
The sense of community is still alive and well if you're willing to be involved and embrace it. I mean, we
our farm stand, we don't close it up. I mean, it's open.
Yeah, it's open.
And we have people all the time say to us, "You're not worried about anything coming up missing?" And we're like, we don't. We know everybody around us.
We did have
An
something
incident
get stolen
years
one time,
ago. We do have cameras all around our place.
Sure.
We do.
but never had a problem with that.
We haven't had a problem.
Which lets you know what kind of community we
Yeah.
live in. It's just
as much as we talk about how ugly things can happen in a community, I get irritated because that's what everybody wants to focus on.
exactly.
And one of the biggest reasons that I wanted you guys to come on and be able to share your story is, number one, the small farms practically don't exist much anymore. We're starting to see a little bit of a comeback. We'll have to wait and see if it's
Definitely.
going to have a good resurgence of it. But you guys are an anomaly that's out there. But the thing that really stands out is you guys are not just farmers. You're not just someone that has a little play area for kids. You're not someone that operates a farmer's market. You guys have helped facilitate a community to where people can show up and say, "Hey, look, let's do business together. Would you help me sell this? Would you help me figure this out? Come out here and bring your kids. You may not be able to afford to buy something today, but have fun. Maybe the next time you come, we'll have something that you want." Now, talking about that, looking through some of the notes you guys provided to us, this farm's been in your family over 150 years. Is that correct?
The land has.
Yeah.
So
And
the land itself has.
I was born into this peach farm. The trees are no longer there. We have our trees,
Right.
but the older trees have died off.
Yeah, there's a life cycle for a peach tree, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah,
Well,
8 to 10 years.
8 to 10 years, and then it's time to cut it down and stop producing or die off.
Yep.
So this was originally years ago started out to be a really big peach farm.
Oh, yes. I remember as a child and my grandfather doing it, my father helping him. And, I just remember looking at what we have now and what my grandfather had. I'm like, oh, man, how did he keep up with this? Him and my
Yeah.
grandmother, because we're like,
Overwhelmed with it.
Yes.
They had a lot more.
Simpler times, and they just did it.
So I know after your dad passed, y'all helped in the old farm that was being run for a period of time, and then at some point a shift was made, a decision was made that farm's just going to stop operation, and you guys said, "You know what? Let's give it a whirl."
That farm didn't stop operation. They're still in operation now. Another family member has.
Okay, but where you guys are at now, where you took over, where you're at now, so how did y'all make that decision?
So for several years, we did what they call truck farming. We got, and it was all peaches back then. It wasn't all this other stuff. We got peaches from her family, and we went and sold them at roadside locations,
Okay.
Mostly down around the Lafayette area. and it was side money. We both worked jobs. She was in college and worked jobs, and I was in construction, and we just did it in the summertime, mostly on the weekends, and then it got more popular and more popular and more popular, and it come to a point where we was like, we need to do this ourselves, and you add in that some heritage on her side of the
Right.
family. It was kind of carrying on a family tradition, I guess. And then we went to planting peach trees and didn't. We knew what we was doing, but there was so many mistakes to be made, along with us working full-time jobs, building this out. Gosh, I don't know how we done all that.
So when y'all made the decision that, hey, we're going to do this, you started on the land that you're on right now?
Yes.
Yes.
So how many years ago was that? About what year do you think that was?
We're trying to figure that up on the way up here.
I'm thinking it was 11 years
11
ago.
years ago.
I'm thinking.
It was.
Because I'm trying to look back of when we first planted the strawberries, and I know the peaches came in play.
Before then, yeah.
Yeah, and the strawberries
So
were
around
So
about 11 years.
What was the land being used for at that time when y'all decided to pull the trigger on it?
Just a field.
just a field.
So it's just a field. None of the old peach trees were there on the property. So,
No, it was. We hunted actually back
Okay.
there. We had deer stands and.
so how much work did it take to prep the land for you guys to get started?
Gosh, it was a lot of work.
a lot of
And
work.
it was a lot of work in the evenings and on the weekend because, again, we were raising our family, had a house down the road, all that.
But y'all still
Yeah.
probably had full-time jobs at this time,
Full-time
right?
jobs, and every evening, run home, change clothes, grab tools, run to the farm. We kept the tractor and stuff hidden out there in the woods, so we wouldn't have to carry it back and forth.
Right.
And prepping the land was it was rough for land that hadn't had a disc or a plow in it in probably 20 years or better. And it was start turning up the land and saving money to buy the first crop of trees, only to get shut down 3 times. The first year, deer within 2 weeks.
Mm,
At 300 peach trees, they got in there and tore them to pieces.
wow.
He figured
How-
out he had to put up a 8-foot
8-foot tall
hot wire
fence.
fence
Yeah.
around the plate.
How
Around
deflating
the back.
was that when that happened?
It was heartbreaking because we had at the time $15,000 that we had saved up and spent to get all that done. So the next year, though, it wasn't that expensive because the land was ready.
Sure.
A little bit of tilling, a little bit of stuff like that. It was just a matter of rebuying the trees, and
So-
we did.
So the trees y'all started off with, so you went with what you knew, peaches, right?
Yes.
Right.
So we plant trees. How many do you know off the top of your head? How many trees you planted?
We planted 300 trees that first go round.
300 trees. So is that 300 trees plus additional trees after the deer done ate them, or
No, that was replacing. So
Okay.
we planted 300. The
And
next year, we ordered another 300 of the
Okay.
same varieties. I believe, if I remember right, it was 14 different varieties. So we could stage them out all summer. Different
Okay.
varieties produce at different times.
okay? Did not know that.
Yeah.
But that makes
So
total
they keep
sense.
coming in, throughout the whole full season.
Right.
So,
Okay.
But the second year, I made a mistake. We were having problems with the weeds growing up around the trees,
Okay.
and there was no time to hoe them and stuff like that because we're working full time, more than full time, really. And I had this genius idea to fashion a barrel and stick over each tree and spray herbicide around it. Pick the barrel up, go to the next one. What I didn't realize was the stuff dripping off the barrel as I picked it up, and I killed about 250 of those trees. So I can laugh about it now, but it was so heartbreaking then.
Yeah.
Third year, we got it right. There was no more herbicide. It was all hoeing and mowing and stuff like that. And that orchard we still have. That's what we call the old orchard, and it's still producing.
What
like
is
that.
what was the life cycle from planting to first crop?
3 years?
3 years.
So that first year's crop would have been making the year we actually hit it right, and it kept setting us back. And in the meantime, we had partnered up with other peach farms around here and was still operating our roadside stands and stuff
Sure.
for those. But, it's just like anything. If you're buying it and reselling it, you're not making
Sure.
a lot of money there. So we needed our own stuff.
But even though you got these 300 trees that are out there and you've went through all this, back and forth with them, and that 3 years of waiting to produce, there's still a lot of work has to happen. You ain't making no money, right?
No money
Off that,
whatsoever.
you were still selling other people's peaches
Yeah.
because it sounded like y'all must have had a good system if y'all were still
We
doing
did.
it. So first crop, tell me what that first crop looked like.
Oh,
And
it was
how wonderful was it to see peaches on the tree?
Oh,
it
it
was
was
the.
beautiful. I took so many pictures.
Do you
I
remember that
remember
first
that.
peach we ate? Remember? And I said, this peach cost us $15,000.
Yes, I remember you
You remember
saying
that?
Most
something like that.
expensive peach you
Yeah.
probably ever ate,
It
right?
was, and it was the best peach we ever ate.
I can
We
imagine.
split it in two, and but that was on one of the early flavor-rich varieties, which is a phenomenal peach. And that year, though, the orchard rocked. It didn't have a lot of quantity because the trees were relatively small, but
Right.
it was a good number of peaches out there, and we
And they were pretty
ate them
too.
and we
They
sold
were
them, and it
pretty
was
peaches.
beautiful. Yeah, I think we took more pictures than anything that year. Just proud of what we did.
Absolutely, and you guys should be, because not only are you trying to get this farm up off the ground, but you got life that's happening. We got a family that we're raising.
Mm-hmm.
We've got jobs that are funding a lot of this stuff, and you have this vision, and now you see this vision that's coming to life, and it's
Yes.
just
You put it just right too. It was everything was coming to life at that point.
so on a farm. How many kids do you guys have?
I have three
Three.
children.
So owning a farm has to be a all-in family experience. Everybody's got something to do, and there's always something to do on the farm, right?
Always.
But I would have to assume that. How old were your kids when y'all started this?
When we started that part of the operation, Chelsea was 17, 18, I guess.
That's our
And then they
oldest.
stair step from there. So Brianna was probably 16 or so, and little Will about 14 or
right.
15. Yeah.
Right behind
So you
us.
didn't have like little ones that you had to tow
Right.
along with you. So you
No.
had some working age
We
helpers, right?
did, after her father died, they were all
Oh.
babies.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, little Will was just a few months old. And
And we were
and we were-
mostly doing the roadside stands at that time.
yeah, and we used to throw them in the floorboard of the truck and head to Lafayette
Yeah.
and sell peaches all weekend and raising them doing that. And our son, we put him out there on his own for several years selling
Yeah.
peaches down around the Lafayette area. So
Which I'm sure a whole lot of life lessons has to come out of
Mm-hmm.
learning how to be on a farm.
yeah,
And understanding what true work ethic means, and that you truly reap what you sow when it comes. I mean, you guys live that out. I mean, you even putting in the best that you possibly can. There's so many things that are outside of your control. I mean, those are the lessons that I'm sure your kids got to learn early that a lot of adults probably don't get until you're an adult at that point, and the consequences mean a lot more.
I think the biggest lesson our children learned is to not get into farming. Because they don't really they've helped us out over the years, but they don't really fool with it anymore. They come here and there and kind of help us out. But I think I wanted them to grow up and learn this farming aspect, and I wanted them to come in with us later on in life. Matter of fact, that was kind of a retirement plan for us, was let the kids take over one day, and we'll get some mailbox money out of it. And we can't sell it because it's on family property, but
Right.
we'll let the kids take over. And I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I think
I still
we,
have hope.
But
You
you
know,
never
I mean, they're
know.
young,
Yeah. I
I
right?
think
mean,
we
look at
scared
us.
them because they seen us struggle so much with
They
it.
did.
And I think it scared them off. I think we did exactly what we didn't want to do.
Or they may have had a hoe in there.
Yeah, they
too much
had
right
too many
there.
ground
And
tools
that
in
heat
their hand.
picking, and
Yeah.
realize maybe that wasn't what they wanted to do, but they will come around every now and then.
Life
and
has a
help,
way.
so-
Life has a way of coming full circle. Sometimes, we started off talking about what success really looks like, and
Yeah.
having that mansion on the side of the hill is may look nice in pictures, but when you start thinking about, man, I gotta pay taxes on that thing.
That's right.
I gotta have somebody clean this for me, every week. And
Yeah.
do I really need 10 bathrooms and there's just two of us here? So there is something to be said about the simpler side of life. Now, at what point did you guys, through the process, we got peaches that are growing, we're selling our own peaches now. When did you guys start growing the farm into the produce and other fruits?
The watermelons, we've always grown watermelons, not as much as we
Yeah.
do now, but it was always an addition every year. And just customers requesting, hey, we need some cucumbers, we need some squash, stuff like that. We'd always grown that stuff for ourselves, maybe a little bit more to sell here and there, but it was coming more of a staple that we needed to. I don't know if you say catch people's
We just,
attention.
yeah,
Or
we've had customers ask us
they just
about it,
want
and I
this
was like,
stuff,
we need to
and
start growing this stuff. I think we could sell it.
it's been overwhelming. It's too much work.
It is a lot of work,
especially not being able to
I
find
hate
any help.
picking okra.
But it was more on the customer's request of it. The strawberries is a whole different story. We, if you want to touch on that,
Your strawberries are amazing.
they're the best thing in the world.
I love strawberries.
We have a strawberry grower in this town, and does a good job, good strawberries. But man, y'all strawberries are.
Well, thank you.
We have a friend over in northeast Texas, and he's got an operation like ours except 100 times bigger. It's an amazing place. He's got 25,000 peach trees over there.
Oh wow!
It's huge. It's a nice family operation, and we envy them. But he grows strawberries every year, and we were over there a lot, and we were watching his strawberry field and stuff, and it was like, well, try to grow strawberries. So I was coming back through there from Oklahoma one day, and it just happened to be on a day they were planting strawberry plants, and I called him and stopped in and watched them, and I said, can you reckon I can buy a few of them plants from you? I'm gonna take them back, see how they do in our town, and he gave me 60 plants in a little old bag, and we come out there and hipped a row up with the tractor and planted them in the ground and basically forgot about them. They grew through the wintertime, weeds grew up around them and all that, and she was out there with the granddaughter one day, and she called me. She said, you're not gonna believe it, but there's strawberries all over these plants. I was like, gosh, I forgot all about them things. I said, well, bring me a few home. We'll try them, see what they taste like. I think you had 12 of them, but by the time you got home, there were 2 left because the grandbaby got into them. And when I stuck that thing in my mouth, and look, it was this big.
Yeah,
I'd never seen a strawberry that big. And I stuck it in my mouth, and I went, oh, my God, we got to sell these.
I was like,
This has gotta go on the menu.
our soul, we can grow these,
Yeah.
And
So the next year we started studying into it and didn't know nothing about it. Strawberry is a whole nother it's a whole nother operation when you compare it to squash.
It's fairly labor intensive.
It's very labor intensive
for that.
Get the back.
So we ordered 2,000 plants, I believe it was, the next year, and we planted them. We didn't really have the room cleared to just jump into it, so we planted them in between our peach trees, where we could straddle those rows to care with the tractor to care for the peach trees. And
Smart.
It was more of
very
a
smart.
yeah,
Utilizing the
and
land.
it was the only place we had irrigation at the time. Irrigation's
Yeah.
a big key to all this, and we had some piping on the ground in the back. We couldn't afford to bury it, so we had it on the ground in the back, and we hooked it all up to that. And when they started producing the next year, we just called friends and family. It's like, hey, y'all come pick the strawberries, and while y'all picking them, we're not going to charge anything, but let us know what you think. Do they taste good? Was there a worm in it? Was it hard to pick? Just those things, so we can kind of see how we want to do this. And the second year we ordered, was it 4,000 or 6,000?
6,000.
6,000, and we planted them. We had another field ready by then. We planted them, and we actually had a lot of volunteers, just some friends and stuff, come out and help us plant them, because at that time it was very labor intensive to plant bare root strawberry plants. And we sold them that year. Didn't know what we was doing again. Didn't know how to spray them or how to fertilize them or nothing like that. But we sold, I don't know what, we probably sold 150, 200 flats that year, if that. And that's when people started picking up on us too.
Yeah.
We built the stand
Well, at
that year.
point, we had we just pitched a tent out in the field.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
remember
One of them white
just sitting
ease-up
out there, and
tents.
the people would pull up way back there in the field and pick up their strawberries, and so we just threw a tent up and sold out of, and it worked. But then when we decided to start planting more is when we figured, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, we ended up going from 6,000 to 12,000 to 14 to 18, and then we jumped to 25 last year, and we're at 25 25,000 plants this year. So,
25,000
yeah.
plants.
But we were like, we wanted, our goal, we run the numbers on it a couple of years ago, and so we need to be at 50,000 plants within a couple of years, and them couple of years would have been this year. And I had all plans on ordering 50,000 plants this year, but labor, we cannot get them out of the field because of labor. Planting them was hard enough doing the bare root. It's all been over planting. And we joined a Strawberry Growers Association a couple of years ago, and we went to Branson for their winter meeting, and we learned so much up there that we just,
We
it
were
was right in front of our
behind
face, but we
times
just
with
didn't have a clue.
planning
And we immediately come back. We bought some new equipment. Instead of having 15 people out there for 5 days planting bare root plants, you have 3 people out there for 2 days planting plugs, and they ride
Okay.
on this machine we have and drop plugs in the ground.
So each
So much
year
easier.
it has to, it has to be replanted.
Replanted
Right.
every year.
So it's not.
Strawberries actually do come back. Some
But
of them
the maintenance around
Right.
them all year long
with
is
us being
impossible.
growing so many
Mhm.
on such a large scale, we have to, regrow them every year. So
Yeah.
So each plant, if it's producing correctly, I know what a flat of strawberries would look like. How much would one plant should produce that would equal in a flat?
You go for 1.25 pounds per plant per year. Is what
Okay,
you're
so how
shooting
much
for.
is a flat? So I can
Flat
put that.
is 10 pounds. Yeah, 10 pounds.
Okay, so just a little, what, like maybe 6 or 7 plants per flat then?
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
7, 8, something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So your strawberries are fantastic. So have y'all like settled in on a variety that this is
we did
who we are?
this year.
We had started with Albions, which is a fantastic strawberry, good plump, very sweet. And the first year when we went from 12,000 to 16,000, I think it was, we couldn't get. I waited too late to order the plants out of California, and they could get us the Monterey's. And the lady on the phone, she said, "Look, you're never going to know the difference except the Monterey's don't produce as many runners." And I was like, well, that's the ones I want then. The runners are the little vines that come out. You have to constantly keep them clipped because they suck up nutrients.
Right.
And
Is that
so
very kind of similar to like a tomato plant that would have the thing growing and then
yeah, exactly. And it sucks up nutrients to where those nutrients need to be going to the fruit
Right.
instead of to that. So they sent them out to us, and we grew them for 2 or 3 years there, I guess, and they were
They
phenomenal.
were good
But when we
strawberries.
swapped to the plug system, we had to swap to a new plant producer, which there's several around the country, but none of them had the Albions or the Monterey's. And so they turned us on to these other varieties that they grow themselves to produce strawberries. And last year we grew 5 different varieties, and we did a grading scale on them. One of them we knew we wanted, but we was going to try these other ones out, and none of them turned out worth the flip except for the Ruby June, which is what we're growing again this year. And I don't know why anybody would grow any other strawberries other than Ruby Junes until they find something that tops it. The Ruby June takes a lot more nitrogen, but it produces 1.5 pounds, 1.75 pounds a year. So it's a lot more production per plant. It's a huge berry. I don't know if you've seen on our Facebook page some of them berries I put in the palm of my hand. They're just humongous, and that's everywhere.
Wow.
And the flavor is just out of this world.
So how much does the soil play in the quality? So I know it plays a lot in the quality. Does the soil affect the flavor at all
It does,
within
yes.
a strawberry or
It does.
fruit in general? So how harsh is a strawberry plant on the soil? Because I know a lot of, depending on the type of plant you're in, it can suck so much out, and it just begins to be cost prohibitive to really replace that nutrient back into it. So how harsh is that strawberry on the land?
It's pretty harsh. It's so harsh that you should never plant strawberries in the same spot every year. You should rotate at least 3 years around
Okay.
that same spot, so to let the soil rejuvenate.
Right.
And of course you can amend it with things each year, and that's where we're at because we don't have enough room to rotate a 2-acre crop 3 times. So we're just adding nutrients back. So it's more expensive. That
So
way.
how many strawberry plants per acre can you plant?
The way we're doing it is it's 12, 14,000, kind of like that, which we've got 25,000 and we're using up 2 acres.
Right.
And it depends on what size tractor you use, stuff like that. With us, our tractors are not tall enough for when the spraying season comes around, fungicide, we can't drive over the top of them. So we have to leave about a 9-foot turn row every 4
Okay.
rows. So
Which
it
takes
takes
up
up more
land.
room. Yeah.
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 Otherwise, you walk in with a backpack sprayer, and that gets time consuming.
And we did that for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
We even sprayed our whole peach orchard
I
for
can
several years
imagine
with a backpack blower.
how much labor intensive that
You
was.
wear one of them things all together, it's
Mhm.
about 90 pounds on your back.
Mhm.
Gosh.
I've even done it.
And having to constantly pump that thing.
That's how we sprayed our pumpkin patch this year. I did not have enough room to put turn rows in the pumpkin patch, 3.5 acres. So it was all out there with a hand sprayer.
Wow.
And it was
Sometimes,
no fun.
so I've never had to do it on that scale before. But sometimes, like, is there a way to get the pumper on this side because this arm's getting like wore out? So,
Yeah.
so strawberries, peaches. What other fruits? Any other fruits you guys are known for that you guys just? I mean, this is kind of our thing. Well, actually, before you even answer that, I want to talk about the watermelon.
Okay.
So, I always knew that the research center was out there in Calhoun.
Mm-hmm.
It closed down many, many, many years
Yeah, it's
ago,
been a while
and I
ago.
didn't know exactly what they actually did there. I thought it was just about trees, but doing a little bit of research, found out that they were known for a watermelon
A lot of them.
that they produced out there. So tell me a little bit about this watermelon,
So the
because
one,
it's got a story that links back to that research facility, right?
Oh yeah. The most famous one that I'm aware of was the Calhoun sweet watermelon that come out of there back in the early '70s, I believe it was. Don't quote me on these dates, but off of that was the Calhoun red and sweet, which was a mixture of the Calhoun sweet, and I can't remember what the other one was. But anyhow, those seeds have been long lost, and Kerry Hefner with the ag department. A few years ago, he come up and told us, he's trying to bring some of these older varieties back. And we were like, where are you going to find them at? Because most seed savers from back in the day had passed on, and their kids did away with their deep freezers and stuff like that. And we even had one from Rita and found a lot of valuable seeds in it. But he found somebody that had some. And you never know when plants cross-pollinated, so you don't know what to get. But he had grew some out, and he had come up with the original red and sweet and the Calhoun sweet. And so he brought Brent Compton with Compton Farms in West Monroe. He brought Brent the Calhoun sweet seeds or the plants, and then he grew out about 50 plants of the red and sweets and brought them to me. And I was excited to do it, but at the same time, we stay so busy. It's like I don't really need to take on another project, but we'll give it a try. And so Bellhaven Kids Farm is right down the road from us, a mile up the hill. Carla and Shane Hoffer own it, and it's a large family with they grow a garden. They got a bunch of cows and stuff out there. Really, really neat place. And I asked him, I said, can I grow these plants down here? Because I need to keep them away from my stuff that I'm making my living with so they don't cross-pollinate. And he said, sure. So we grew them down there. And the next thing I know, this national magazine was calling us, hey, we want to do a story on y'all and Compton and Cary. And it just, I was like, wow. And the news got into it. And it turned out to be a big thing. And the biggest part was that I was most proud of when I grew them on well water and completely organic. I did not want to touch the strain of seed at all. I wanted it to be as original from back in the 1980s as what it was. And so when they finally tested them out, Brent's, I think his was on the bricks was like 8 point something, which is a very sweet watermelon.
So for those that don't know, the bricks measures the
sugar,
the sugar that's in it.
Yeah, how sweet it is. And ours was a little over 14%.
Oh wow!
It was the best thing I ever put in my mouth. I mean, it was crazy.
But how cool is that to be a producing local farmer that is now able to bring something that was created in Calhoun and now
Yeah.
bring it full circle back to
Back.
where
Mhm.
you
The
are
same
now.
ground it was started in.
Absolutely.
It was amazing, and I was so even though at first I didn't really want to do it, but after all of this happened, I was so appreciative we were so appreciative that we had the opportunity to be a part of
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that satellite right there.
So what year was that roughly that
That
y'all
was
got?
2 years ago, wasn't it? Yeah.
So are you now growing them on your farm?
Yes.
Okay,
I got
so-
some out there right now.
That's all we grow, so they don't.
So they don't cross pollinate
Cross-pollinate.
until I
Okay.
get my seed stock built up where I want it. Then that's all.
So
we'll
when you're
grow.
talking about seed stock, so that you'll always have some on reserve.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
You mentioned when you grew them originally on your friend's farm that it was all organic. You want to see where it's at. I know there's a lot of people, and I wish that I was kind of on that level with them, that really look at the things that are going on their food, that's in their food. Is that something that you guys, is there a need locally for that organic? I know that organic has got to be really expensive because it's
gosh,
going to
it is.
require just a ton more maintenance. It's
Yes.
going to, which means that if you're not putting chemicals on it to control the weeds, then you're out there with your hands controlling weeds, in which, time is money. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day to make it
Yes.
happen. Is that even feasible for a small farmer to be able to do organic?
I don't think so, and I know people locally and semi-locally are trying it. Matter of fact, Englewood Farms in Alexandria, they're a total organic farm, and I think they are the only total organic farm in the state, if I remember right. And they have a lot of volunteers. That's the only reason they're organic, because
Right.
there's no way they can keep up with weeds. And they grow 2 acres of strawberries every year. I don't think they are anymore, but they did, and did it all organically.
I'm sure some be proud of, but the expense that has to go into something like that.
It's impossible in my opinion. And we're not an organic farm; we are a conventional farm, but we don't.
He uses the very bare
bare minimum
Yeah.
of what I have
mean,
to,
we
and I
eat it, our
monitor.
grandkids eat it. We
Oh, sure.
so
Yeah, my grandbabies eat our produce. There's no way. I
Yeah,
want to
so
stick
I'm
stuff
not,
in my mouth.
in no way was I insinuating any of that.
Yeah.
I just, you mentioned that on those were all organic, and, the research that or the limited research that I've
Yeah.
done on organic just says, the amount of money that it takes to just operate that
Right.
makes it cost prohibitive. I think there's some large farms that are able to do it on a larger scale, but I think that they're heavily subsidized to be able to pull something like that off.
Yeah, they are, and you can pay us $2.75 a pound for some tomatoes, or you can pay $10.75
Yeah.
a pound for some tomatoes.
And I think responsible farming with using things
responsible farming, exactly.
is it's where we really need to be, because we can't, you can't, if everything was priced that way. You go down and look at so even beef prices. I know y'all don't deal in beef. We'll just use that as an example, because everybody, at least here in the South, is very familiar with the price of beef.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you take some organic beef right next to some that was produced. I mean, it's like 5 times the amount in a lot of cases.
And I am a licensed applicator in the state of Louisiana, and I hold a lot of pride in that. And being a licensed applicator in the state of Louisiana means you're a radar, and they are constantly. I have to keep lists, and they check those lists of everything I spray.
This podcast is possible because of your support of our real estate business. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, I'm confident we have the tools and the processes to help you reach your real estate goal. For more information or to reach out to us, check out the podcast description for our contact info.
I can't just go out there and be clumsy with it and spray stuff out there and stuff like that. And then you put the expense on part of it. It's expensive to spray. And the rule of thumb on spraying fungicides and insecticides is every 10 days or every time after every rain, because it washes off, especially when you apply it lightly. And you know how much rain we get in the spring and the fall. So when growing them crops, it's just constant expense going out the window right there. So
And
it's
a lot
done
of times
rightly.
you don't even get to it. I mean, we're just like,
Yeah, and you see it when I don't get to it because the worms and all that stuff start.
But then you have a
Getting
summer
into it.
like we've had where we ain't had any rain
Right.
at all. So
Yeah,
then you got
and we didn't have much of a peach crop this year either, so
then you
we
have to
didn't
choose: do
make any
we
money.
irrigate or do we not? If we irrigate, even if you have a well on the property, just the expense of running that well to be able to irrigate, it's got to be just taxing
It is
on you guys.
And back before we get off that though, back to the reason I had said organically on the red and sweet watermelons is I wanted as close to that original strain as I could get without amplifying it with nitrogen or anything like that. I wanted it. That's why I wanted it separated from our farm, and Shane and them just so happened to run their whole household off a well. And I was like, this is perfect.
Perfect.
Well water, no fertilizers, no nothing, just straight in the ground, and produce the prettiest melon. And there's pictures on our Facebook page of it. But
you're talking about cross pollination, all that stuff. I think the last time I was out there, y'all have some bees, don't you?
we do.
So how important is that to be able to have your own bees and your own colony to be able to take care of to ensure that pollination is happening correctly?
It's extremely important, and we didn't even realize, even though she grew up on the farm, we didn't realize until we had our first beekeeper, Scott. Remember him? He brought, I don't know, 6 or 8 hives out there several years ago. And the previous year, we grew about 4 acres of watermelons, and we thought it was great. And in that year, we grew 4 acres of watermelons, and it was 3 times as great as the year before.
Just by bringing bees.
By bringing bees. And then we got this amazing product from them bees called honey. And we sell that, and it was like, this is a no-brainer.
So are the bees yours now, or you have somebody that bring the bees out?
We have a beekeeper that Stephen LaCourse out of West Monroe.
Is that just not like a win-win-win? I mean, it ain't costing.
It's a win-win-win. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's.
And it's no labor on
Yeah.
us. It's we get the honey, we pay him for the honey, and we sell it at the stand. And then his little bees go out there and work their tails off all day long, pollinating our plants and getting 100% pollination on everything. It's a win-win. Yeah.
And if you did not have that, you would be relying on wind and other native bees in the area that are not going to be centrally located
on Mother Nature.
Yeah.
That and wild bees, ladybugs, dragonflies. There's all kind of pollinators out there. There's just not enough of them.
Right. So this just really amplifies it. So at what point did y'all decide that you want to do the farmers market? Oh, and by the way, we're going to have something for the kids to do at the same time. So when did that come into play as part of the process? Was that really early on? Or
Yeah. We bought the fire truck. You've been out there and seen the fire truck. We bought it at an auction, and it's kind of a funny story.
Tell me that, because I was going to ask you, how did you make that leap?
I go to a lot of auctions, and she about kills me every time I come home because I spend too much money. But I love auctions, and we were down at Louisiana auction in Winfield, and they had 2 fire trucks out there, and she was harping about it all day. Let's buy it. And I'm like, I'm not buying no $10,000 fire truck. It looked cool, but I'm down here to buy farm equipment, and so. We were getting close to where they were getting to that lot where the fire truck was, and a rainstorm came out of nowhere.
Well,
I mean,
before that, you had said
the $500 deal.
Yeah.
I told her, I said, I tell you what, because I knew it wouldn't. I said, if it gets down to $500, I'll buy it. I knew it wasn't going to. And so this rainstorm come out of nowhere, and everybody
back to the vehicle.
Yeah, she went back to the vehicle. Everybody left the auction. There was about me and 4 or 5 old men standing out there, and I tucked my phone in my shorts and was standing there like that, trying to listen to him. And then he got to the fire truck, and he started off. I believe it was at $11,500, and I was in my mind laughing. I was like, "We're not buying no fire truck." He got down to $500.
Like, well, I told her.
I just hung my hand of shame up. I said, I'll take it. And so anyhow, that leads into the playground. We had Plunks towed it up here for us, and where it's sitting is where he dropped it off. And that was before the stand was built. We were getting ready to do construction on the stand, and he pulled in, dropped it off right there, built the stand, kind of fast forward a year or so. and our grandkids would come over and they kept playing on it. And the plan was to drag it out in the field with a tractor so when people drove by, they'd see an old fire truck out
Okay.
there. But the kids kept playing on it. And when people started coming to the stand to buy things, their kids were running out there playing on it.
Okay.
So then I see this antique slide on Facebook for sale over in Downsville. And I zoomed in on the picture and I was like, I can break that slide in half, stick it on the back. And that's where the slide come from. And then we started getting requests for more playground equipment. So we started adding, the swings and stuff like that. And that's where the playground come from. We had no plans of having a playground, but that's where it come from.
Kind of happened.
I mean, I can't imagine how many kids. There's no way I'm sure for you guys to factor in how many kids get served and families on that each and every year.
It's a lot.
And I know listening to you talk about it was kind of like a haphazard accident that it started, but man, what just a great asset that you guys have there that be able to offer to the community. Now the farmers market. If so, those that are listening, if you haven't been, it's worth a drive out there just to go see just the artistry of the different things that you guys offer. And most of the stuff is just all local, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you've got, give us just a little rundown of the variety of stuff that you guys offer there at the farmers market.
Well, at this time, we've got tomatoes, we've got sweet potatoes, we've got new potatoes, we've got onions, squash, zucchini, cucumbers, okra. We've got a few apples. Am I leaving anything out?
I've seen some canned items out there before.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
lime.
jellies and jams from her mother and aunt and stuff.
Yeah. And then we've got some sourdough breads. Another little lady makes and brings. They're the best too.
Got the meats. We carry McCain's and Calhoun.
Okay, awesome.
Their
Yeah.
beef.
Board
We carry three board farms is
Yeah,
a local farm here, and we carry their stuff.
and Forest Farm,
4S Farms is out of Shreveport. That's her cousin's place.
Longhorn.
Longhorn beef. Yeah. Trying to think. We have some peas and beans and stuff still in the freezer. It's, most of that stuff's summer products, and it plays out closer you get into fall. So we do put some of it in the freezer to try to give people opportunity to buy some later on, and before we lose it.
We had a one of the interviews that I did was with the mayor of West Monroe, and her big thing. If you ever see her out, she's going to have a pin, Shop West Monroe on.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'd like people to kind of take away from this today is that through we ended up having what got her on was Dr. Scott from Louisiana Tech. He's an economist. Came to one of our sales meetings and just talking about the effect that we can have local on our local economy. And went kind of all around the world. We finished up with me asking him, what's the one thing that we can do today that can have the biggest impact on our community? And he said, shop local.
That's right.
And he walked through this thing saying, for every $100 you spend on Amazon, X number is going to stay here local. It was a very, very small amount. What you do at Walmart is X number of dollars. But when you shop at that local person, that local grower, the local manufacturer, or the local person that may be selling things that they bought in another state, close to 70% of that dollar stays right here locally. So not only are you guys offering a quality product that's most of it is grown here, made here, you spend your dollars here, your dollars stay here too.
That's
so
right.
you're not only getting a great product, but you're also reinvesting back into your community.
Oh, definitely. We have family here. We have blood here. We want to be here. We want our family to be here, and so we want to do the best we can to take care of it.
And
You can't always take care of everything, but we
sure,
try
but
to
I
do
mean,
the
if
best
that's
we can.
if that's the heart of what you guys are trying to achieve, I mean, you can see it when you just drive up. You can see it when the kids are out there playing.
Yeah.
You can see it when you're in the farmers market and people that are there will ask you, "What can we do to help you?" I mean, it's not the experience you're going to go into a big chain store and not get the help that you're looking for.
I won't stand for it. And when we hire somebody, we run that down to them. These people, they don't know us when they pull up, I want to be their friend when they leave.
Yeah.
That's how we have to do this. And
Well-
that goes a long way right there. You're
Well,
a
it's-
customer for life.
It's people like you that that I want to highlight that make our community great. You guys have served my family well for many years. I wanted to make sure that people got to hear the story that I've been able to live out with my family. I've taken the benefit of homemade ice cream made out of the fruit that you guys have. I'm not necessarily a fan of the peach ice cream, but my girls are. They want the peach ice cream when it comes around. But just so much value you bring. You guys are leading with, come out and enjoy our place, and I won't charge you $1. But if you feel inclined to buy something from us, all the better too.
Definitely.
And if we had more people that would lead that way, we'd probably have a little bit better world. And I'm thankful that you guys are able to do that within our community, in the Calhoun community, Ouachita Parish, Northeast Louisiana. We're going to make sure that when we publish this, that we're going to have all your contact information. We want people to be patrons, or if nothing else, to come out there and just give you guys a shot. I'm sure that they'll leave with something, because they'll be able to see what I see.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to fake genuine,
Right.
and I don't think that you have enough time on your hands to try to fake anything. It's just here's what we have to offer.
It's
And,
transparency.
Yeah.
I mean, that's we're about as transparent as we get, I think. We work together. We live together. We work together. It gets tight. We had an interview yesterday morning with Discovery Monroe West Monroe, I think is what it's called. And that was her first question is, how's this work?
Trust me, there's an art to that, because I tried to live it out.
Yeah.
There's an art to it.
So with all our transparency, there is a little part we keep private.
Yeah.
And it's usually us at each other's throats, like, hey, no,
Hey,
you go
but-
here, I'm going to go here. And we live in a cabin not much bigger than this room right here. We sold our house in 2018. Dealt with some tragedy, sold our house, moved in the little cabin.
We were supposed to be there. He
And-
said, how many years did you say?
Yeah, I told her, I said, let's stay here 2 years in this little cabin, and then I'll build us a house. And we're going on
We've been
5
so
years,
busy.
5.5 years
Every once
now.
in a while, I'll think about it,
And so,
be
But
like,
who's got time for that?
along with working together, living together, and all that, then we go home to that little bitty cabin, and it's like, you go to that end, I'm gonna go to this end. Then you go watch your TV, I'll watch mine. But
Well, guys,
it
thank
works
y'all
out.
so much for coming and giving me the opportunity to be able to share in the story with y'all. And
we appreciate
if there's
you.
anything we can do to help you down the road, just know that we're just a phone call away. So thank y'all for taking
thank
the
you
time
for
to come
having
out.
us.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you
Yeah,
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to watch or listen to this podcast. We really appreciate your involvement. Please leave us a comment, or even better yet, subscribe to this podcast and hit that notification bell so that you can be alerted for every new episode when it hits.